Who are the lazy parasites?
Welcome.
Welfare mothers.
Welcome.
Cadillac limousine driving, buying Quattro with their food stamps. There's an obscure one for that liquor joke. And who are the subversive parasites?
The Jews.
Labor unions, Jews, labor unions, activists, sinful, feminists, homosexuals. I mean, they're one of the usual suspects. It's like, there's this great Mel Brooks movie, and the Nazis are coming in, it's a remake, but the Nazis are coming in to seize the theater and they're going to write up all the communist Jews and homosexuals, and he goes, without communist Jews and homosexuals, there is no theater. And it's horrifying because, there's some truth in it, because it's a culture that's accepting of people who are outcasts in other places, right? So that was a very Barb joke, but then of course he always did, Barb jokes. It's this idea that there's a conspiracy that involves liberalism as an affront to God. And the liberals have to be stopped. Now, how do we know this is taking over America? Because of 1805. The Unitarians stole the pulpit at Harvard from the Calvinists. And they said, education stops crime. Punishment doesn't fix people who have broken the law. We're going to come up with a whole new way of dealing with education, with crime, with poverty. And this then was the go back, so the Unitarians stole Harvard from the white racist Christians. And there's been a battle ever since in Ivy League schools about that. If you went to Harvard in any Ivy League school in 1920, you were taught eugenics. And eugenics included people like not just blacks, but also Jews and Eastern Europeans and other unwanted people. So it was a very broad sweep, and there was always Jewish quotas because you didn't want too many in, because they would infect those good Christian students who were white. Of course, Jews aren't white. Well, who's white? Let's have an argument about that. So what you're looking at now in some of the appointments by Trump is the appointments of people who think of themselves as Aryan because they are upper-class elite Indian immigrants who believe that Aryanism is a race and enforce that in India through a caste system, when it's in fact an Indo-European language group. So Wagner was wrong. It's not a racial battle, but it's become one. So the fantasy has become the reality in terms of looking at whiteness. And whiteness, there are groups in Africa who think they're really white. Now, how you come up in India, it makes more sense because those people were called Aryans. And Hitler stole the swastika from Hindu religious belief. We have Hindu neighbors in our town. One of them lives next to us. Talk about things we need to work out. They painted a proper rotating swastika on their doorstep because that's their religious belief. And the Jewish family across the street pounded on their door and demanded that they remove it. I mean, where do you start to try and say, no, chill, swastika stolen by Hitler, and if you don't know, the real swastika goes at a 45-degree angle like a pinwheel going backwards. Why does that matter? Because most swastika daubings are by white Christian teenage boys who know it'll offend their parents and the rest of the community, and they do it wrong. So whenever I get a call saying that, there's a swastika painted in the school, I say, which way is it rotating? And they go, what? Which way is it rotating? Well, if you think of it as a pinwheel. Oh, it's going that way. Oh, no, it's a kid. It's terrible. You need to talk about it, but it's not. The Nazis are not coming. If it's accurate 45-degree angle, then you get a real problem because these people didn't read it. So it's, I did anti-Nazi organizing for 10 years in Chicago, got to know the Nazis. Some of them were pretty smart. So we used to show up at demonstrations and crack jokes. How's the Führer? Still dead? And they'd come back with something about communism, and we'd go back and forth. You got to do something with your time, right? So I was run over at a demonstration, badly injured, long story, but I ended up in line to go into an Oprah Winfrey show where they had the Nazi and the anti-Nazi were going to be in the audience. We ended up in line together, and there's this 6'2" Nazi, maybe, not that magazine. Anyway, that's our joke. I like jokes, he's smart. And he saw I had a brace on my leg, and he said, what happened? Oh, at the last demonstration, the mounted cops trying to save the 12 communists with the red flag marching into the park for the Nazi rally to protest it. Didn't realize there were 500 white high school students who were going to run and dismember them. So the mounted cops came running towards the middle to try and stop them from getting together. And I was going to take the world's best Pulitzer Prize for the photo of the two clashing together with the horses coming by. I'm a city boy. Horses' rumps are really wide. So I'm there with my Nikon camera like this, and the horses are going by me, everything's good, and one hit my arm and twisted me around about 3/4 of the way on my knee. So I'm in this brace, and Art Jones is there, and he says, oh, what happened? Oh, I run over to the demonstration. He goes, well, what happened? I told him the story, and he looked at me and said, was the horse all right? Now, come on. You have to give him credit for a snappy comeback. Even a Nazi in a uniform, you have to say, that was a snappy comeback. So, these people aren't stupid and they're not crazy. Some of them are very smart, and what has been built with alt-right is the normalizing of anti-Semitism and white racism. And let's not leave out masculinist misogyny, and very often homophobia, but that's a split because some of them actually have no problem with being gay or lesbian or transgender. So it's complicated. I guess that's my obtuse answer. And I don't know. It's very hard to try and explain to people that this is like a 600-year history of developing these tropes. So you can blow a dog whistle. So when somebody says international banks, people hear it different. People on the left hear it as, yeah, the international banks, they suck. And the Nazis go, yeah, the Jews. And then that opens up the dialogue that Spencer's talking about. And I was actually at a Driver Society meeting once as my alter ego, which I won't tell you what I do, although I shop at JCPenney for it. And I was at a lunch, 8 people around a big lunch table talking about the conspiracy. And the debate was it the Rockefellers or the Freemasons or the Jews or groups I hadn't even heard of? And there was this actual debate of people citing old sources. So this is kept alive in a number of subcultures. And whenever there's something involving foreign military intervention by the United States, the right tries to recruit the left. When there's issues about capital and the elites and the 1% getting more and more money, the right systematically goes out and tries to recruit the left. And that's why what Spencer said is so very important. This is one of the moments when the right smells an opportunity to recruit from the left around a kind of superficial understanding of power, again, which leaves out any discussion of race, gender, and class that has to do with reality. So really I wanted to speak on something that takes more questions.